Welcome back to Bonded by Bravo. I'm your host, Amy, joined with my co-host, Jenna.
Hello there. How are you?
Dom Jen. I'm in a really good mood considering I'm so tired, but I'm in a really great mood. I know.
Maybe because you have off next week?
Probably. I'm not actually off the full week, but maybe because I won't be in this country next week.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm in a really great mood. Whatever, doesn't matter. And yeah, what's going on? I know that we have so much. Last night was the Beverly Hills premiere. There's a few pop culture things that I want to chat about, but what's going on with you? How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited Beverly Hills is back. I think this is just a superior franchise. I love Beverly Hills. I just really do.
I mean,
Are you saying yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's also like when you're watching last night and they're going through Beverly Hills, but then they're going through Bel Air. Yeah. And it's like there's Beverly Hills and then there's Bel Air. And Bel Air is like the next notch above, like the richest of the rich. And you're
also too, sorry to cut you off, but don't you feel like we know these women too? Like we've been with them for a pretty long time.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of us are feeling so affected by this Dorit and Kyle thing.
Yeah.
And this friendship breakup, because I do think I thought that they were real friends. And I think we'll get into it. There's a lot to talk about. Dorit came out swinging.
So good. I'm like, do I need to get divorced?
Erica
I think I need to get divorced.
I couldn't stop. I've been an Erica stan even when I shouldn't have. She looked insane. And Bo's the new girl. Like what the hell?
I think divorce is looking so good on these ladies.
Who was it that was in the car that was like, who's still? Oh, Garcelle. She's like, who's still married?
I wrote that in the outline. Yeah, I put that in the outline because it's in her confessional.
Yeah,
and she's just like, who's still like, something's in the water? Who's still married in our group?
Yeah,
and then she pauses and she's like, no one. God,
no one. Yeah, look at that. I think it's also like I want to. Yeah, we're saying we'll get into it as we're getting into it, but I think the excitement of like. I want to see these women when New York, like the way that New York women were acting fools over men and dating and stuff. And we got to see a little bit of Sutton doing that, but I want to see Garcelle on a date. I want to see Erica on a date. I want to see Kyle and Dorit on dates. I want to see everyone going on dates.
Okay.
But before we get into it,
what pop culture stuff do you have?
I posted this on our Instagram. So Brianna Chickenfry, our new best friend, Brianna LaPaglia. I've really just taken such a liking to her. We talked about it last week that talk about people we know. Like we know her. We know her. We look like her. We have friends that are her. Like we just know this type of gal. And she went to the UFC fight in Madison Square Garden this last week. Did you hear about this? Okay.
I know about the fight, but not. Okay. Oh, wait. No, maybe not even that fight. I'm thinking about the Jake Paul type.
Yeah. No, different. That's a whole other. So there's the UFC fight. It was a big fight. John Bones Jones and Stipe Miocic came. And this was like a big fight coming, whatever. It's in MSG, big, huge fight. Dave hooked her up and got her third row tickets. Dave Portnoy. So she's there, she's out. She's been hanging out with some of these Aussie guys that have come to do stuff, I think for Barstool. And she's posting all over her Instagram about it. So one of the fighters on the card at the end of his fight shouts out, he says, and I want to give a shout out to what's his name? Zach Bryan. I'm excited to see his concert here next month. This fighter goes onto a podcast and was like, and the host says, like, what was that about Zach Bryan? Like, are you a big Zach Bryan fan? And he says, no, I'm not a big Zach Bryan fan. His management called us and said that he was in the crowd and to give him a shout out.
What?
Loser. Psycho. So he knew that she was going. Zach Bryan knew that Brianna was going to the fight, and to try to ruin her night, had his management reach out to this fighter's management to just kind of like sprinkle a little toxicity into the evening so that she couldn't even enjoy herself. That is like a whole other level of like loser and psychopath.
That's so weird.
So Dave Portnoy,
It kind of does like make me wonder, and I'm not trying to like make any like excuses for him or anything. It just like makes me wonder like how many decisions are the artists making versus their team making? Like, do you think he's going to the team? And again, I don't want this to sound like I'm sticking. That's not what's happening. It just makes me like really think about it in just like a general way. Just like how much is the team coming to the artist with like, hey, we have this idea. Like, what do you think about it? And like saying the yes, the no, like whatever. I mean, he obviously had to, even if it wasn't his idea, he had to know about it and be like, yeah, let's fucking ride. Which is any way you look at it is weird. It just makes me think of like these teams, like these celebrity teams.
And she talked a lot in her podcast about how enabling his team was, and how she said at some points they were worse than he was because there were all these people around that knew what was happening, how he was treating her, the way he was treating her over and over again, and stood by while he did it. The type of person that he is, from everything she said, like this is such narcissistic behavior. We throw that word around a lot, but this is like, you're trying to ruin her evening because that's what you can do at this stage in the game. That's crazy town. It's really crazy.
You would think you would actually want to separate himself a little bit because the flack has been so bad. And so it's like,
that's what's sick.
You know, it's just,
it seems so sick.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sick.
I know.
Anywho,
I haven't been able to listen to any of his music since, which I'm sad about because I actually fucking love his music.
It's so weird. I'm not like a country girl.
So bummed about it.
And I don't really listen to country. And I was like,
yeah, same.
Yeah. And I started listening because of her. And I'm like, I'm not doing it now. But you want to know who I told you? I was actually thinking that I wanted to text you so many times. There's this chick, Lola something, with this song called Messy. Somebody listening is going to be like, oh my God, you old lady. But I'm going to send it to you. I have no idea.
And I'm younger than you.
Yeah, but it's not by much, but her voice is so good.
Is it country? Is that
no. It gives like folky.
Okay.
Lola Young. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Brock. We love Brock. Lola Young.
I was going to try and take
credit. She sings a song called Messy, and it's really, really good. I'd say like Billie Eilish ish. I mean, that's not even a good. Okay. Yeah. Anyhow, there was one other thing I was going to chat about. There are a lot. There's more Diddy updates, but
I don't even feel like
getting into the Diddy of it all. I saw some things about Ashton Kutcher. I don't want to talk about Diddy.
I don't want to talk about.
I don't want to talk about Diddy. We're going into Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's not the spirit.
He really he deserves me.
I do want to just. Okay, so I sent you this thing. This is going to be brief on Taylor. And guys, I love Taylor. But someone else, and I've been saying, I don't know if I've said it on here, Tom, but I know I've said it like to us in private. Like her style is so bad. And so someone actually like was on a TikTok really like getting into it about her outfits. And now there's like think pieces about her style, which I'm like, okay, not that I thought I was alone in thinking this, but I kind of love that, like, okay, people are really thinking about it and like theorizing what is happening behind the scenes.
But wait, do you always think it's been so bad, or there's been some bad choices recently?
It's never been good. Like, you look at the Hailey Biebers and, like, Kendall Jenner, and, like,
I
yes, they're supermodels, but, like, she's Taylor Swift, and and their outfits, I would say, like, Kendall and Hailey are kind of plain, like, they're demure, like, they're capsule pieces put together. I mean, it's obviously probably, like, really expensive brands, but you could emulate them in, some
some degree, yeah.
capacity. Yeah, and
I literally that
there has to be a reason
But
for
it's actually interesting you say that because you wanna know what it is. When we think of Taylor Swift, we don't think of Taylor Swift as someone who's like a style icon. I don't think she has her own personal style really. And I think what happens is when we see these outfits, they're styled outfits by her stylist. And so for some of us, it's like, oh, it's not giving me Taylor. Because I like some of the things she wears sometimes.
I have
But
not liked one thing.
you didn't like that red flannel
No.
suit with the
Mhm.
boots to
Mhm.
the Chiefs game? I liked that.
No.
I love her bag. I always love her bags. But
I'm not
I
a
don't
bad girl, so I don't even notice. You know me, I
yeah,
love a
yeah.
backpack. Good JanSport goes a long way. Do you remember when I went to that bar in Center City and someone called me Dora? It was like some like finance
JanSport.
bro.
I saw a kid carrying a JanSport the other day, and I was like, haven't seen one of those in a decade.
Because I haven't lived in
Just
Philly
because
in a
Jenna,
decade.
yeah. Um,
We love a
no,
good backpack.
she love a good backpack or a fanny now. I cannot like if I
The
had to
baggies, I
choose,
love them. Swear by them.
yeah. I don't think she has a personal yeah. I get that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
It's
wanted to
so
bring it up because I was happy to
scary
see
other people.
people. Yeah, I just felt like seen a little bit. Like, I can love her and really not understand what's happening.
Yeah. Other than Housewives, who would you say, like other than Bravo people, if we're
Uh-huh.
thinking out celebrity, who are some style icons that you really like?
Oh God,
I
I
mean, I
have
think
no
you named
idea.
them for you, like Haley and
Yeah, Haley Kendall, Amanda Batula, like those are my top three.
I literally said
But
other than Bravo, and you're like,
I
I
know,
can't
and I can't
even.
even think of one. I don't really know. I don't
Yeah.
think about this like all that often.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
I don't really
Um,
do anything either. So, like, I stay inside or I go to work, or like I'm working out or I'm at work. Like,
so
those
you're in
are,
like workout clothes or your work clothes.
yes.
Got it.
And like like, especially this time of year, like, I'm not doing
That's so
anything. And I'm doing 30 days dry right now, so I feel like
oh.
especially doing like I'm really doing nothing.
You chose to do that over Thanksgiving. That's great.
It ends on Thanksgiving.
Oh, great.
I started it when the last day in Philly.
Amazing.
Mhm.
It's so funny because um wait, what were we I just lost my train of thought
Oh
completely.
no.
Before the 30 days dry. You just
We're
said something that made me think.
I don't know, but don't you feel like the harder you try to remember something, the further it goes away from your brain?
Close. Yeah, before close.
Style
Ah,
icons. Who's yours?
it wasn't even style icons.
All
My
right, maybe we should just
style
get into Bravo.
yeah, I'm like, I can't think. I mean, you know me, Psy always is my style icon. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. In me and you talked about this, that in New York, like even if you have nowhere to go, like there's still this
Oh, yeah, we talked about this back
like
in May when I was coming because I was, like,
you
enjoying
yeah.
getting dressed.
Yeah, and like you if you're going out Saturday night to dinner, like you get dressed.
That's
And
nice.
if you're going and like you could wear a dress, you could wear heels, you could wear jeans, you could wear sneakers. Like you could either get dressed or you could not get dressed. And it's like no one would look at you one
Any
way or
other
the
way, yeah.
other if you chose either one. But even if like I'm going to dinner with Meek, it's like putting on an outfit.
Yeah.
And yeah, you always have to be ready because you don't know what you're gonna get into. Or like
Yeah.
where it could yeah. Anywho, yeah, let's talk about Bravo.
Let's
I
talk
just
about
went on a
Bravo.
tangent.
Okay, Beverly Hills. It was good, I liked it.
Especially after watching Roni right before that. Like I was doing my shows catch up yesterday and having to
Mhm.
watch Roni and then Beverly Hills. I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank.
Do we want to go through Roni real quick?
Let's do that at the end because there's not a lot to say.
Alright.
I mean, we're so excited about Beverly Hills.
Okay, so Dorit smoking that cigarette was giving me everything. I was obsessed.
Let's bring back
Was she
Housewives smoking on TV.
Was
Let's
she
bring it back.
always a smoker?
Well, it's so funny because her and Lala were on
Okay.
Watch What Happens
Why was
Live.
Lala on there?
Why Lala?
Why?
That's what I was gonna say. Of all people, I don't want that match. I don't want that duo.
Well, I also, what is she promoting even? Like, I don't understand why she was on there. Does
No,
Bravo like owe her something? The comments were going off about this show, like this pick.
Really?
Oh,
yeah, like let Dorit talk and then have someone like, because Lala's gonna want to say something to get some attention about something. But Dorit said, yeah. Andy said, is that the first time we've seen you smoking on camera? And she said, yeah, it was. So I think she's always kind of been, I mean, she looks like she's a smoker, by the way. She just put that puppy. And Lala said the funniest thing, like, you were going down the canyon racing, lighting that cigarette. And then Dorit says, I was being chased by the paparazzi.
Oh boy.
Dorit, are paparazzi chasing Real Housewives of Beverly Hills?
If it was right after the divorce announcement, yes.
Okay.
They do. I mean, think about the Scandal, Kyle, and that's
true because there were, remember the other pictures of her smoking, like in somewhere by the beach of her just like smoking cigs. I bet
the paparazzi do when a scandal with a reality star, especially like Bravo reality stars break. I think that the paparazzi probably goes really hard for them too because they feel like there's some sort of entitlement to them.
Like they're easy to get.
Yes.
I also am like, is this that? Like, I wouldn't compare this to Scandal or even what happened with like Mauricio. And that's why I'm like, do they care? Yeah.
And they got to get paid, right? They get paid for the photos. So it's like, yeah, I believe that.
The one thing that I just want Housewives to come back smoking. We saw Luann the other week doing a TikTok smoking her cig. Like, we know who y'all are that are out there smoking cigs, Housewives. Like, we know who you are. So just come out and do it on camera. Bring it back, old school style. Like LVP
like
was
Carrie Bradshaw smoking in bed after sex. Like, so good.
The way that Carrie Bradshaw smoked cigs on Sex and the City, it made us all want to just have one in our mouth at all times.
For years. It just never took.
Oh, I miss. If there's one thing I could do without consequence, it would be just like ripping cigs nonstop.
Okay, so they're at the Pacific Design Center so it's Dorit and Erica, which is actually
Erica also looked fucking insane. She looked insane. I need her.
Where they went for the Pacific Design Center is exactly where I went with Corey to the gala.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, when they were pulling up, I was I also once put up here and had an interesting time.
In my dress. Not in my dress, but in a dress.
That was my dress. Uncomfortable night of my entire life, I think.
Because you had to wear a dress and network.
Well, I didn't like Corey was just like doing his thing, and I was stuck at this table with a bunch of like rich snobs from like Carmel. I was like, oh God.
I wish I was there just to witness it. So that's where Dorit basically says, Erica, I'm separating. Yeah. Do you know what the weird thing was to me about this whole Dorit separation story was that she didn't shed a tear, not one time when she was telling to people. It felt so robotic to me, like a scripted answer that like she had practiced for so long. It felt very like,
I think she's detached from it at this point.
Yeah, but this wasn't that far after it. And it's like,
but they've been having trouble for years.
Do you know what it just makes me more think of who Dorit is, like a little detached in general, like from reality. It seems like when she was talking about PK and she's like, I stood by him through this, I stood by him through that. And like, he wants to separate at the very first time that trouble comes our way. It made me think, but it made me think like, are you guys in the same relationship? Because we cut to PK who's having the conversation with Mo and saying like, I got sober and was kind of sick of her bullshit. It's like, where's, I just feel like she's a little detached from what's happening in her world. God.
I don't know. I feel like maybe she just had prepped herself. Like she knew she was going to have to talk about it on TV and maybe like made, I don't know. And maybe she was having one of those days where she wasn't overly emotional about it. Like I feel like those things kind of come in waves a bit.
Fair, but even in every scene where she talked to Erica, when she talked to on camera, when she talked to Bose, it was like the first thing she said to Bose. It felt so robotic to me and insincere that it was hard for me to like want to give her sympathy.
Yeah. I don't know that. Yeah. I don't know that I have sympathy for her. I
Yeah.
just sort of understand that they needed to separate. Like I think ever
Yeah.
since I don't know how she stuck around, honestly. I mean, I guess she wanted to try and work through it. They have kids. But his response to her after the home
Oh
invasion,
my God, that
like,
therapy session.
well, it's just like you can't, like, if this is your wife, this is your partner, and you're gonna totally dismiss her feelings and think she's exaggerating what happened. Like, you weren't there. Like, you
Yeah.
were away across the country. Like, I just that would have been, and like that's where I think maybe some of the detachments coming, like it's coming off detached, is that was like 2 years ago, right? Like I think it was around 2 years ago. And I think that in that moment is when Dorit really started to like kind of look at PK different. So now we're 2 years later, and maybe she just doesn't even have those like, maybe she doesn't have sadness right now in this moment, or in that moment, I should say. Like she's in a different part of the journey.
It seemed to me too that like obviously there's resentment from both sides. I think
Yeah.
even PK said it, but it 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 felt like she was trying to get the story out of the gate. PK's an alcoholic. This is how this has affected me. We're separating. He's been sober. And then when again we switch back to him and Mo, it's like he's saying, I got sober, and kind of it lifted like the sheath of the bullshit. Like I was kind of sick of her bullshit.
Yeah.
I think it's also hard in any relationship for someone to get sober and to work through that because like the resentments have already
Kyle and Mauricio.
happened. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Kyle and Mauricio, this is exact. She got sober and they got separated.
What did you think that Kyle sent PK a text and not Dorit? Did
Do you
you
know
catch that?
I did. People don't come for me. I just don't love Kyle. Like, I'm not a Kyle. I don't really dislike her. I think the thing I don't like about her is that she walks in and she's like, this is my show. Everyone bow down. And I can't get on board for that, really.
Yeah. But yeah. And see, I'm kind of like in my head, it wouldn't be the same show without her because I think
I
it's,
would be, I think, let's circle back in like 2 years when she's not on the show. I don't think you're going to miss her.
yeah.
I really don't.
Yeah. I mean,
I
it's
think
like,
it's hard to imagine because she's been on this
yeah,
like
for
since the
forever.
beginning.
Yeah.
But I really think that if she left, we wouldn't feel it as much as people think we would.
And I think the more, yeah. But the Kyle and Dorit of it all and their friendship, what are your thoughts there?
I think it's really offensive. This is going to sound like I'm a Dorit apologist. That's like not what I'm going for at all. This is just one episode and I could be in a totally different boat next week.
And that's what we allow for ourselves. Jenna gave
Totally.
us the allowance and it
Yes.
has changed my life. It really
But
has.
if someone went on an Amazon Live and diminished our friendship and said like, and Kyle says on the Amazon Live, like, to put it bluntly, she exaggerated our friendship, that's really hurtful. Like, that's hurtful. Even if it's true, it's still hurtful to go. It's embarrassing. And like, there's not a ton of feelings that are as like terrible as embarrassment. Like, embarrassment never feels good.
Especially from a friend.
Yeah, and someone that you're still filming, like, continue to film with, and then you have to do questions about, like, I hate being embarrassed, and so I felt that strong, like, when Kyle did that, I was just like, "Oh," but then the other thing is, like, so Kyle's mad about the way that Dorit answered at BravoCon.
I
I
have
think
so many thoughts on this
that
because
felt so like, dramatic because there was, like, a joke, like, she had spilled the shot or something, and then Dorit, like, in
okay, so
response was
for
like,
context, Dorit was asked the question at BravoCon from Andy, rate the Richards sisters in order from favorite to least favorite, or take a shot. And Dorit chose to take the shot. And Kyle like bumped the shot and was like, "Hey, what the hell? Why would you do that? Like, why would you not say me?" And as someone who has a sister, who's friends with sisters, I think you're not winning in that situation.
"No."
I think she was
Which is the
doing
point of
right
the
by
question.
Kyle. Right. And I think she was doing right by Kyle by not answering the question. And Kyle got upset by not saying her. And it's like, these are the petty things. I think it's also interesting to me that you think like as you grow in friendships, as you grow older, like these petty little
Mm,
things aren't going to affect you and eat like we as women will still worry about this stuff. If Kyle and Dorit were real friends, why would something so small
trigger Kyle.
hurt your feet? Yeah, hurt
Yeah,
your feelings. Like
yeah.
what? And I think Kyle also said like at that time I was going through a lot, and maybe she was going through a lot with Kathy. But again, even as someone who has a sister, in front of everyone, we play like everything's fine. And as my friend, you play like everything's fine. And that's what I thought Dorit was doing in that moment.
Yeah. But so you just said something like Kyle was going through a rough time in that moment, and she was, like, I acknowledge that. So was Dorit, though, and Dorit
Yeah.
had talked to pretty much only Kyle about it. And so I just feel like if we're gonna give Kyle that grace, should we
Do you know
also
what it
give Dorit
seems?
that grace?
And it seems like Kyle downplayed their friendship a lot.
I think
And
that
I
really was
think,
hurtful to Dorit.
how could it not
Not
be?
be.
And I think that Kyle downplaying it to a relationship that was like, I don't know if Dorit has a lot of like close girlfriends.
Yeah.
And I think she confided in Kyle and wanted, like, had an idea of who she was. If not everyone goes on trips with their significant other and their partner. And
Mhm.
I think like those things meant a lot to
Dorit.
Dorit. And Kyle was like, oh, it was like one trip. And
Like, flippant
oh,
about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And trying to downplay the relationship. And I think that's what it came down to. This manipulation word that Dorit keeps throwing around, I don't know if I'm there.
I'm not there either.
Yeah, about the whole like Kyle manipulating every situation, and I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
think manipulation's the right word for it.
yeah,
I think
protective of herself and her feelings after everything she's been through, but I'm
and
not at
also
the
just, like, knows how the show is shot and knows the game, and it's not like she's manipulating, but she's aware.
yeah. And she's seen the consequences.
Yeah. What?
No, oh, I think watching it, uh, I'm like debating if I'm going to talk about this, but watching it,
Okay.
there were some realizations about a personal friendship breakup that I had that was like, um, I wasn't really made aware of it. And I
Mm,
think my friendship with a friend of mine
mhm.
was diminished and something that I looked at as like very sacred, very important to me. And was just kind of like put to the wayside, and that it's probably like the most hurtful relationship ending thing that's happened to me as a grown up with no explanation.
I obviously know what you're talking about, and yeah, that relationship was basically tossed out by the other person.
Yeah.
Does that give you room to have, like,
Yeah.
grace for Dorit?
I think when I think when I started hearing her talking about the things that are important to her. Like,
Mhm.
oh, we did this trip, and Kyle's like, oh, it was nothing. Like,
Mhm.
I think it made me relate to, it's interesting when you see kind of both sides of things playing out on TV, like your side and your ex-friend's side. And you're like, oh
Yeah.
my God, is that what they thought? Like, did they not value this friendship that I had so much value in? Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, I could never come back from that. I could
Yeah.
never forgive that person. And so I think it makes me understand why Dorit's coming in so hot, because I don't know if I did.
And let's say you had to film with this person and
Mm.
have it like, how do you feel like you would do
I
in
would be
that?
very aggressive. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Very aggressive.
Yeah. Because
Because
now
it
you're
comes
trying to
from a
get
place of
your story out too. Like
right.
your version of it matters to you. And like you
Right.
have this audience that it matters to them too. And it's like,
Yeah.
you feel wrong, so you want to get yours sort of out before the
Yeah.
other person can
That's
come in and
interesting.
sway the audience into thinking something happened that didn't actually happen.
And it's also like a protective mechanism too. Like
100%.
we're trying to protect yourself. Like, I'm not going to let you back in, let alone
Yeah.
so easily. Like, I wonder what this is going to look like. Like, Dorit seems,
On
it's
fire.
actually putting, yeah, and it's actually putting, saying this out loud is even putting it in a different perspective for me, because I felt a little much like, whoa, 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 Dorit last night. And
Mm.
it's interesting now that we're talking about it.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, friendship breakups are, I would say, almost worse than like a romantic breakup, because you sort of grow up knowing a little bit that some of your romantic relationships will end, whereas like you just don't think about you just think, okay, these are friends, like I have
yeah,
them forever, and then all of a
yeah.
sudden, anyway, we're getting on a tangent
No,
here.
no, but I think it's a good point, because I think we're going to see this play out on the
Yeah.
season. I know you were with me every step of the friendship breakup,
Mhm.
and you saw how it affected me and how
Mhm.
like I was really struggling to let it
Mhm.
go, because I was ghosted. Like how
Yeah.
a
And
girl
getting
or
yeah, getting ghosted, I've gone through that with a friend too. Like
yeah.
it hits, there's almost nothing like being ghosted. Like I
Mm,
would rather you say to me, "Look, I'm not fucking with you anymore." Excuse my
yeah.
language. Like I don't want to hang that much, but like I still I know she's listening, so I love you, but there is still like some PTSD that I have from it. Like if someone if a different friend doesn't respond to a text, like
Yeah.
I don't feel the same way as like if she doesn't respond for a couple of days, I'm in my head
Well,
like, did I say something wrong? What did I do? Like
yeah.
are we going down this path again? And I have to like remind myself like, no, it's fine. It's fine. Like you didn't do anything. Everything's okay. Like it's
And it's
just
like the
people
same
are
way that it
busy.
and it's the same way, like, if it was a guy, like, for like, that's how me and you talked about it. Like,
Yeah.
you were forgiving, and I don't know if I would be, even though for a long time, that's the route I wanted to go. I was
Mhm.
never given the opportunity
Some of the
to.
circumstances are different though too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
much longer standing friendship than the one that I had, you know. Yeah,
Nothing like a
okay.
best friend leaving you when you have cancer.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. That's what I
And your
okay.
boy's birthday, but okay,
Yeah, and my boyfriend. Yeah, let's move on.
let's talk about the surreal party. So we meet
Bose.
Bose.
Bose was holy smoke show.
Is she also like she was a corporate girly, and it made me think like, is she our first like proper girl who like
Oh,
climbed the
don't tell
corporate?
do not tell Brim Whitfield this. Do not tell Brim
Well,
Whitfield.
Bryn
Brim Whitfield.
doesn't let us in, so I don't know what to
The
say.
first one that would take. I don't know. Well, I mean, I think like the
On that level, like
corporate
executive,
CMO, she was a
Netflix,
chief.
Uber.
I think Bryn would argue. The
Okay,
other
Bryn
thing,
is
like,
like
I'm just saying, like,
a
if we're
decade
talking
younger than her too.
corporate, and I think also, I don't know, I guess we'd have to look into that.
I know.
But she was chief marketing officer for all of these big
Mhm.
places, and she retired after 20 years. That means technically I could retire because I've been working for 20 years. I
Yeah,
graduated college almost 20 years ago. Like, the
crazy.
fuck? Here I am.
Stop.
Here I am.
When we take off, we'll both get to retire.
When we take off. Bose seems like she's going to be a nice addition. She had some snarky little comments that I was really enjoying. I think she's going to be a fun time. I mean, her outfit was stunning. Her face was stunning. Her hair was stunning. She just had such a
vibe.
Are we going to talk about the disc on Dorit's head?
I don't even care to, because are any of them really making fun of anyone's outfit at this party? I mean, we got antlers like this.
Two pairs of antlers. It was
more than one pair. I'm like waiting for a little fairy to pop out.
Yeah. It was.
So
the other thing I wanted to say about this party was, what were your thoughts on the decor?
I didn't even notice.
Oh my God, I couldn't stop staring. It was so ugly.
I was just like happy that Dorit seems like, I feel like she's gonna have an ally, and I'm happy for her, because I don't like anyone really going through an entire season by themselves. And because Kyle is sort of the mother of the show, I feel like people tend to go to Kyle. But I think Bose, I have no idea. I haven't even like really looked. I don't even know if it's in previews for like upcoming or a trailer. I just have this feeling that Bose is gonna be on Dorit's side, and I think she might come for Kyle a little bit.
That's interesting.
Which I mean, I really have no idea. I'm totally speculating, but I'm like kind of here for that.
But I would want to hope, because there was this like glimmer of hope that Erica said, do you want me to tell them, or do you want to? I want to hope that Erica would have Dorit's back a little, but to your point, I don't know if she's going to go up against Kyle.
I think Erica is allowed to. She'll play both, and I think that they'll allow her to play both, because I think they all love her. I do think everyone likes Erica, and I think that'll be.
Yeah. We're back to liking Erica. I never stopped. I just want to say that, Erica.
I really didn't ever stop either.
Yeah, even when it was like a little
dicey.
A little dicey. Yeah.
I'm happy to see Garcelle. I'm
happy to see Garcelle with her own production company out here on these Lifetime movies, living her best life. I heard her Jeff Lewis podcast. This was months ago when she was making that movie with the young guy where she plays a MILF that she was talking about last night. And we always talk about people kissing with tongue and things like that. And she said on the episode that when they first had their first makeout scene, he tongued her. And she was like, I had to teach him not to do that. And I was like, I bet you did, Garcelle.
That's great.
I know.
All right. Well, that's, I mean, I'm excited for Beverly Hills.
Oh,
I hate that it's on Tuesday nights, though.
The only other thing we have to talk about is Kyle. I mean, Kyle talks about Morgan at the end of this.
Oh, shit. That's right. I barely got to watch the end of it because we had.
That's okay. Kyle talks about Morgan at the end of this, but she says, I'm not going to say her name. And Garcelle goes, in her confessional, I think we're a little too late for that. She was on the show.
And you did a music video with her. Like, what do you mean? You promoted the shit out of her. You had her singing at events, and now we're not saying her name?
On the show. Singing at events on the show.
On the show. Like, what do you mean?
We're not saying her name. I really do think Kyle's.
This is why I can't fuck with Kyle.
But see, I think Kyle's a really great mom.
Totally.
And she said she had to talk to her girls about things with Morgan. Well, I don't even know if she said things with Morgan, but she said her sexuality. And that she didn't want her kids to be embarrassed of her. And that her youngest gave her a hug and said there's nothing you could ever do to embarrass her. And that was her most proud moment of motherhood. And I just thought, like, I think if there's one thing that Kyle and Mo did well together, it was to raise 4 girls, because they all seem like they all have their head on straight and that they're super respectful of their parents, and they just seem like really.
Never had any like scandals really either.
No, and they just seem like really great girls. It seems that's why I think when we all heard about Mo and Kyle breaking up, it just seemed like their family was white picket fence and out of the houses you saw last night.
Goes to show though that no one
no one's safe.
You just never know like what's happening behind closed doors, no matter what people are putting out.
When you looked at the houses last night, because Kyle's house is like my dream.
I love her house because it reminds me of the house from Father of the Bride.
Oh yeah,
which was like one of my favorite movies of all time.
Interesting.
Yeah. But whose house do I like the most?
Yeah, because we
Kyle's.
saw Sutton's, we saw Kathy's, I think we saw Jennifer Tilly's, which we didn't even talk about Jennifer Tilly, that goofball.
I know.
She's gonna be
She's so
here just for
fringe. Like people
entertainment.
that would know. I have a friend that like loves Jennifer Tilly, like ran around this city searching for her one day. And he's like big into the like, you know, I think she's like
Horror, Bride
a
of
horror.
Chucky,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think he found her actually in Chinatown. And I told him, I was like, she's coming to Beverly, like Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And he was like, wait, what? Like, it just felt like,
She's here.
how did she end up there?
Yeah.
Because it's so opposite of like who her audience typically is. And I fucking love that for us.
But I think she's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
I don't know if she's
so
gonna
out
get into
there.
it, but I
No.
feel like she'll be the Kathy for us all, like the
Yeah.
light heart. Could you imagine her and Kathy Hilton having a conversation together? Anywho, I'm excited. I'm excited
Yeah,
it's
I'm
back.
really excited.
Especially like we've gotten through Tamra. We're trucking through Roni. Which of these do we even want to get into next?
Let's
Should we
do
the OC
OC real.
reunion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do
I wrote
reunion.
notes on this.
Okay, great.
Great.
Okay, so we open with Emily coming at Jen for more of the Ryan stuff because it was just like leftover from last week, so we're just going right into it. I've already said, I feel like I've said what I needed to say about this. Like, I just so do not agree with Emily coming at Jen for the Ryan of it all, but I don't know.
I don't think Ryan's innocent. I just want to say that. I think that there's something shady about Ryan. I don't know what it is. Like Ryan gives me Louis vibes, like Teresa and Louis vibes. Like he's doing something that if it's not coming out now, it's gonna come out.
So this is I was just having this conversation about, so let's say he's not innocent with all the gambling of it all. I was talking to Kyle about this just the other day because I actually, unrelated to Housewives, I was watching the show I think it's like Underworlds or Undercover with like this Marianne something. It's basically she goes to these like underground like worlds or whatever.
Okay.
And she was with like a bunch of gambling people, like poker houses and stuff.
Oh, this is like a documentary, like real.
It's a documentary. This has nothing to do with the Housewives. But then it started, I'm just really piecing this together like live. But I'm talking to Kyle about it and I was like, why is this so forbidden? Like what, like it's allowed in casinos and stuff like that. And we started talking about it. I was like, cause I don't find like, to me, I understand it's illegal, but I'm just like, that's their own money that they're willing to gamble away. But hold on, let me finish. So then we started kind of getting into it. And I guess like part of the reason that it's illegal is because it's like untaxed. And then there's also someone like the person who's running it obviously is making a ton of money and it's not some corporate that's getting taxed for it, which like, fuck that. Keep gambling in your basement is like what I say to that. Like, I cannot find how, and I know it's like, I guess it's also like something, he said something about the Bible. I don't think it's like down.
The Bible?
I don't know. Is gambling like forbidden in the Bible? I don't know.
I mean, who the fuck cares what the Bible says? But
exactly. So I just am having a really hard time wrapping my head what the moral problem with this is.
I think aside from the gambling, let's say it's not gambling. I don't think that Ryan is leading a like I don't think Ryan has a legal job that is on the books. And I think for Jen, who has children involved, I think like Emily did say this episode, and I think Gina even said, like, you just got out of a marriage where all you did was depend on a man. And it's like, if this was Teresa Giudice, who we came for so hard when we said, like, you're making a dumb mistake when you're looking at Louis, because who knows what he's doing with his money. It's kind of the same thing. Like when asked what Ryan did for a living, she's like, I don't know. He like does yoga and lays on the beach. It's like, girl, are you in a good situation? Are you setting yourself up and your kids up? Aside from like, if he's gambling or not, people do that shit. Whatever. Gambling problem, call 1-800, whatever. I just think that.
Or just make your money, baby.
It's like, but it's also like, are you, Jen, for your hordes of kids, making a good decision? And you have to be okay if your friends are calling you out because they're worried about you.
Okay, that part I can totally get behind. Like when you say it like that, I think it's the way in which they're attacking her that I couldn't get on board with, but the way you just said it, and actually I think even Heather says it at one point in this part of the reunion, like that I was like, okay, this I can get behind, especially with the kids involved. If the kids are involved, I think it makes it less kind of an issue. But I do also feel like Jen is building her brand. I mean, she is the breakout star of this season. Like, I think she is going to have that center orange. I think that we're going to have her for a long time. So if Ryan's helping her storyline ride, then like, yeah, then she's getting her coin from it.
Emily says that to her. She's like, the reason I'm getting like this is because I want to see you like take everything from this. Don't become one of those women that's just depending on a man. And Emily even says, like, I think I'm triggered. Like, obviously, Jen triggers her because of her mom.
Yeah.
It's obviously like, Emily says it. Jen's like, oh, okay, this is what it is. The going so hard, it was a little uncomfortable. I really do like Emily's commentary from a legal point of view, though. I like that that's happening in like real time so that we don't have to look it up. That part I'm into, but if I had
$1 for every time Emily said, as an attorney, though, I would be so rich.
But I do think it's valuable knowledge while this is happening. Andy doesn't know. Yeah. I don't think Jen knows. I think Jen's speaking out of turn. Like, I don't think she actually knows. She's trusting that Ryan's telling her the truth. And it's giving a little Teresa vibes. Like, we want her to be set up and not just trusting this man that he's doing right by her. And I think the naivete is, I'm like, Jen, just be careful.
Yeah.
We also like this gossipy stuff that Heather's talking about and then saying like, oh, I was gossiping. I wasn't being a mean girl when I was talking about your $2,000 dress from what is it? Neiman, whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
There's not a difference.
Also, Heather, I know. And like when Heather says, or Jen like says something like she's I really appreciated how Jen did not back down to Tamra and Emily and Heather, to anyone. Reunion. Like, she really stood her ground.
She did.
I'm also obsessed with that dress she had on. But she says even to like, she's talking to Tamra, or she's referring to Heather, I think, about like the question, and Heather says she's a historical friend. And then Heather says, I don't talk like that. What do you mean? Have you not watched yourself on this show?
Think Jen would say that? You think Jen would say she's a historical friend? That's exactly something you would say.
Jen is not coming up with historical friend on her own.
Heather, own your fucking shit.
And
take accountability.
That Jen even did it. She said, well, she's a historical friend, like with the hands and the little the pause.
The cadence.
Everything was to a T. It was almost like black out the screen. I would have thought it was Heather saying it.
And that's Heather cannot own her shit.
Unawareness that Heather had in this moment was shocking. I think even Tamra, when she said historical friend, something definitely went off in Tamra, like, okay, Jen is not making this up.
And this like Tamra, Emily, Heather couch thing was so irritating to me. Like, why are you guys all like in this little, since when did Emily joined the dark side of the Tamra and the Heather?
What was happening? How did that happen?
That's what I wrote in my notes. Why is Emily on Heather's dick so bad? I can't think of another way to say it, but it was really throwing me off.
Tamra's.
Heather, I think she's always like, I feel like she could still talk shit to Tamra. It was really weird to me, this Heather thing. I don't understand. I didn't understand what's going on there. And then when, like, do we get like, there's just, we talk about again the talking shit to your kids thing when Emily's defending that her kids weren't being talked shit to. Katie's saying Katie's daughter apparently did this TikTok, which was not good.
Like, not good. And Katie seems pissed about it. I think
Yeah.
she's definitely not happy with her daughter. I don't know if she's gonna put her daughter on full fucking blast on this reunion on national TV,
No,
but
of course
you
you're
could
not.
tell there's conversations going on at home. Like, she is not
100%.
happy with
But
her
her
daughter.
daughter's 20 years old.
I know, it's like, how much can you do?
You can't. And so they're all saying, "Oh, I would have told my daughter this. I would have told my daughter that."
Especially if the daughter's getting, like, followers from
Oh,
it and, like, views, which we know that that means money down the line, like,
as much as I want to believe Katie for saying that she didn't talk shit on Heather, they then have the clip of Katie's little son, who's probably 6 or 7, saying, "Was Heather being mean again today, mom?" It's like that boy knew that
but I think that they're all,
something.
and I was it on here that did Andy say it? I feel like someone said, like, people are having, like, you are venting
Yeah, it
at
was this one.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't think there was any ever a moment that I didn't think Katie was talking shit on Heather at the house. I just think that so was Emily, and Emily's kids overheard it and said it to Katie.
There was a blind submitted to Bravo and Cocktails from one of Emily's ex nannies that said Emily always was talking ish in front of the kids and everything. So believe it.
That's exactly what I've been saying for the last 3 weeks about this.
But I feel like she probably just thinks her kids aren't listening. It's just also weird. It's also weird that we're talking about their little kids.
And
And that
I mean, that's why I said, like, I so agree with Emily just being like, "Let's shut it down." Like, although they do keep kind of dragging, like, they did kind of keep dragging it out. So
the other thing that was so weird to me was, so they go on this little montage of Heather talking. They go on the like Emily and Heather um fight about the modeling show and
mm,
how Emily felt uncomfortable the whole time and it was a really uncomfortable situation, and they bring up Heather's clip from her
comments, yeah.
confessional, and Heather leans over and goes, "Sorry for the dress comment again." And it's like,
And
that's
it
it.
was, yeah, like, Andy didn't dig into this, and I remember when this episode came out, people were blowing, like, the internet was like, "If Andy does," like, there were memes about it, like, "If Andy does not, like, drill in on this, like, we're gonna be fucking pissed at him." I keep
But
cursing.
Heather has
Um,
been able to get away with all of her she Heather can get away with anything. She can say she's not a mean girl, and then we have shots of her gossiping. She can say that she didn't do wrong by Katie. She can say that she isn't an asshole, and then we see pictures of her. Then we see the like throw the shots together of Heather being everything she says she isn't. It just is what it is.
Also, I really
Own it. Ugh.
well, the other thing too is, like, if Emily is so I don't understand, I guess, how Emily could get over the dress I think she like, I don't know how she could get over the dress I could almost see how she could get over everything else. The
Same.
dress comment, I
I
think I would have a really hard time with that. I don't know that I'd be
that's
able
what
to come back with that from that.
I wrote in my notes, friendship. To me, that comment is friendship ending
It's done. Like, there
because
is just I don't know, there's just no coming back from that for me.
that's
This is our
it's a level of mean that it's beyond mean. It's body shaming, national TV, and this is someone you're calling your friend. And Heather still, all she does is Heather thinks she can say these nasty, rude things and then just do her little apology, make an excuse of like how it's not what she meant, and then move on.
but
I
this
know
was
that,
one of her worst, I think. Like, coming
yeah.
for a
And
woman's body.
why didn't Andy press her on that?
Why didn't we need to know, Andy Cohen, if you're listening, why did you not press Heather on the comment to Emily about the dress? Like,
It's
this is
insane.
women feel so insecure in their bodies all the time, even if their body objectively is perfect. Like, the dances and the gymnastics that we're doing about our figure and what we look like in clothes is never ending. It's
Never.
never ending.
No. And Emily was vulnerable enough to say in at the reunion that this was really hard for me. And it would have been hard for me anyway because like I don't have the perfect body type, and it would have been hard for me because I had to get into a dress and the dress wasn't the same size, et cetera, et cetera. And then here we are. I agree. This is a friendship
Yeah.
ending comment to me. And then we get on to freaking Alexis. I don't even
Oh, I
want to
forgot
talk.
about her.
I don't even want to talk about
She's not
John
this
Moss.
is like gonna be then when like when Shannon says you're a star, that was so funny.
I mean,
You're a TV star.
Shannon ate this up. These last few moments where Alexis is like, Andy, please let me speak so I can say my side. And Shannon saying, how long did you practice there's the door, Shannon Bedore. And she's like, I never practice it.
Oh, she practiced it in the car.
And then they cut to the scene
They
of
did her
her
dirty. The editors did her
practicing.
dirty.
I was like, this is amazing. And she's like, stop being John Jansen's mouthpiece. It'll never happen. Okay,
No.
this is the other thing. Her coming in there and being like,
speaking of that settlement, there was a settlement. Did you see that?
there was, but it's closed, so we'll never see it until
That's
Bravo and Cocktails gets it. Bravo and
Yeah,
Cocktails
exactly.
get that. It's so funny. She came out and they're like, congrats on your engagement. She's like, thanks. It's going to be in 12 months. She's actually getting married at the same location.
Oh, that's right.
Did I tell you that?
Yeah,
my
you did.
friend who's getting married in August.
Yeah.
In Laguna. So I'll let you know how the venue is. Maybe it'll
Mhm.
be the same weekend or the week before. Anywho, she was dying to say that. And Shannon's like, your problem, not mine. You and
Yeah.
your Ferragamo shoes, be on your merry way.
Yeah.
Alexis trying to defend, like, look, there's no way if your husband's suing someone that you're not involved.
1,000%.
Sorry, Alexa, stop.
Oh, you having a little Alexa in your house? You got a robot. Smart house.
That was weird. But I just think, like, for Alexis to try to be like, oh, I didn't know Jim Bellina was doing this, I wasn't involved, etc. Then to call herself a TV star because she was on one episode of Below Deck and some other like
5 shows. I don't know what the one was. I think Tamara's wedding because I looked it up. So like, what was that?
Tamara's
episode?
wedding.
I can't.
That's what she's calling. She's like, and Shannon icon saying, I took your seat 10 years ago and I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm still here. I was like, yes, Shannon.
And I'm still in my rewatch with or without Shannon. Alexis was not going to last. Like, she was really unlikable right from the jump. Like, there was nothing. There was nothing about her that was intriguing, like that I felt the viewers were really into.
No, with her crazy controlling husband. Like, she likes controlling guys. Even if you watch the Below Deck episode where she's with her ex-fiance acting like a complete psycho the entire time, you'll be like, this is her MO. She likes guys that kind of tell her what to do and how to act. And there she was in the reunion verbatiming. That's not a word, but saying verbatim what Johnny J said to her. So it's just, I can't wait for that chick to be off my TV. We have another week we have one more episode of OC's reunion, and then we can move on we need our break.
We do need a break.
Roni. We have a few minutes to talk about Roni.
You know what? Sai's response to the prank was all of us, which was great to see. Like, she was like this. I think even in her confessional, she was like, this was in bad taste. Like, we had people here trying to get pregnant. Like, this is like not chill at all.
At all.
So she actually went on her TikTok or Instagram reel, like whatever. She went live or something. She posted a video saying like, please stick with us. Like the prank was, I agree. The prank was like in poor taste, basically just reiterating what she said on the show.
Whoa. She said, stick with us. Interesting.
It was yesterday.
The one thing that really threw me was like, is Erin a shady Katie? And if they said leaky pigeon one more time, I texted you last night and you didn't know what I was talking about because you hadn't watched it. And I was like, I just want to say, I hate the word leaky pigeon. There's so many other words to describe what they were trying to say. And leaky pigeon it felt very uncomfortable. And then you have everyone saying it like 500 times over and over again.
Yeah, what did you think of the fallout of all of this?
I actually think it's interesting that it's kind of annoying, Erin. I think besides self-producing, in poor taste, self-producing, and I kind of feel like it's shitty as much as Brynn is on my nerves. I kind of think it's shitty to do to Brynn, who is supposed to be your friend who
Mhm.
you talk about 2 episodes about how you guys are friends and you're friends outside of the show. I think it was a shitty move.
I know. I agree when they started to say like, okay,
What's
wait, Bryn
happening?
did
Yeah.
know, but you're trying to tell us that she didn't know. So like it seems like both Aaron and Bryn can't keep their mouth shut, but like
No.
it is
But
definitely a different view seeing that Bryn was just playing into the thing and was trying to like hype it up even more. I
but
like
that's
that
what
she told Uba ahead of time too, because she knew
mm.
that Uba was not going to take it well.
I mean, again, all of these women are in their late
Yeah.
30s, early 40s, and all have talked about different like issues, conceiving, having
Let's
babies.
not
Jessel
forget their
can't.
audience.
Oh, it's
I would be
so
yeah, it's in
it's
such poor taste.
it really is. I I think the thing that is like whenever that line is, it looks like a snake, it moves like a snake, it's a snake.
Mhm.
I think Erin is getting away with more and using Bryn as her scapegoat, and I think it's kind of shitty.
Yeah, it is shitty, and I think part of that is happening because Bryn just so happens to also it's like simultaneously Bryn is on
Yeah,
everyone's nerves.
yeah,
Like as in the audience, like we're
yeah.
really done with the bit. Like even when she walked, I like when she walked into the Museum of Sex, like I knew a comment was coming. Like it just was like because she did like
Yeah,
before she made the comment, I was like, what's she gonna say? And then without a beat, she's like, I feel like I'm coming home, and it's like,
yeah.
when are we
We
gonna
want
give
to.
this
I think,
up?
but I think, hey, Bryn, if you're listening,
If you're listening,
we would love to
to
get
like,
to know
yes,
you.
yes,
Because do you want to know what my favorite part of that episode was?
her and
Her and
Gideon.
Gideon talking about conceiving, talking
Mhm.
about their dynamic was so interesting to me. I felt like her wall was down. We got to see her with someone she's really comfortable with, that she does
Mhm.
trust genuinely. And talking about like that's a really hard topic to talk
Mhm.
about. And who knows if it was like pre-produced, etc.
For
But
sure.
it really felt like it was a real moment for Bryn. And that's what I want to see more of. I want to get to know Bryn. Because I think we would like her. I think we would. She's likable if she dropped the act. So hopefully we'll get to see more of that. We do. I mean, Jessel and Pavitt, again, we're very concerned about that.
Him eating salsa, chips and salsa on the therapy call. I can't. I
They're talking
can't.
about having a third baby. I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea, friends. I don't know if this is the one that we want to be doing. I don't think so.
He
Well,
had some as much as I don't like that I knew someone like this actually where like every serious conversation turned into a joke. It's no
like
one like
more
I've
than
dated.
us.
In a way, it's a guy, and my friend was in a relationship with him, and I was
Oh,
always very curious, like, how do you and do you have, like, real conversations, like, when we're
mm,
all not around? Like, what
yeah,
is that like behind closed doors? Like, how far are you getting in these conversations? Because from what I can see, it's just everything is like a bit. So not
yeah.
a I don't even know if it's a bit, but
Well,
it's like definitely a deflection. Like I'm
yeah.
just gonna say this or say nothing, sort of.
Well,
And
that was
I
funny
can't
because
imagine.
that's what the therapist said is like, it doesn't need to be a joke. and
Yeah.
and Jess was like, yeah, whenever we try to talk about something, he thinks it's comedy hour. And I just thought, but like, you have to be funny to do that. And sorry, Pavitt, I don't think you got the
So that's what I
chops.
mean. Like that's why I just even when I was talking about that other person, like a
It's not
bit seems
funny.
like it's funny, but there's like definitely some deflection
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
I
That
don't
would
know how
be,
they
I
made it
would,
10 years with all
no,
that deflecting.
I need to talk about my feelings all day, every day, all the time. I could
Yeah.
never, I wouldn't survive in that. Hopefully, and then like to bring another child. I think something I've seen at
He's
our
clearly worried about the
age,
finances too.
but I don't know if that's a deflection too. Something I've seen at our age is that sometimes women want the idea of a family and children so much that it doesn't matter who the Pavet is, like who
Mhm.
that person is. They're just a vessel to get to what they need. And they forget that like you're going to then have to raise a kid and a
With that
family
person.
with that person forever. So like you better know that you're going to be able to communicate with that person, that you're going to be able to ride out
Yeah.
your whole lives, because if you had a kid, it's not getting easier once there's kids involved.
I know. I'm so happy that like
Yeah, same.
whatever happened in my life did not made me not want kids. Like I
Yeah.
think I was literally like born and I decided no kids. And I'm really glad that
That's
that stayed true.
it's so weird because I was born and thought I'll always have them. And I
Oh, really? I don't think I knew
oh
that.
yeah, always. I always thought, even when I first got married, I was like, maybe it'll change. Um,
I
but
never even thought for a second.
yeah, I always thought
Hmm.
that I would. But once I started getting to the age of where you could have kids is when I
Uh-huh.
started changing my mind. I think we caught up on everything. We had a lot to talk about. We will be
Weirdest.
back next week with it. No, we won't be
No,
back.
no,
No,
2 weeks
no,
ago. And
no.
actually, the next time we come back, I think we have Morgan on,
Yes, so we're so
right?
excited. So we are going to, for all of our friends and followers, we're going to be changing our podcast date to Tuesdays. So instead of Thursdays, our podcasts are going to be dropping on Tuesdays, and our next episode will drop on Tuesday, December 3rd, and we will have special guest Morgan Talks
Mhm.
on with us, and we'll be chatting all things Bravo pop culture. So join us then. Happy Thanksgiving. And
Yeah.
we
I can't
will
believe it's the holidays. This is so weird.
yeah, it's also warm on the East Coast, so it's been really weird. But
No way.
anyhow, we'll be back we'll be back in 2 weeks. Oh my God. Follow us, like us, subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. Rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave us a review. Tell us how much you love us. And if you don't, please don't.
Please. Don't, yeah.
We'll be back, friends. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.